How we all doing? Good, good. Are we working, activating our powers? Yes, I hope we're working with it. If you haven't been here, you can listen to the previous powers, which were understanding, will, wisdom, and faith. And today, we're talking about love. And of course, because we're coming up on Valentine's Day. And I do want to share with you, and I've shared this before, that in 1994, I was going through a really hard time in my marriage at that time, and what really came to me was that I needed to learn to love myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was about. I got married young. I had children. I was a mom. I was a wife, and I didn't know myself beyond that. So I just decided I'm going to dedicate this year to learn to love myself, and I had no idea what that would look like. And I thought it was just so beautiful that on February 14th at 1 o'clock is the day that I started my job here. And I've got to tell you, it has been such an experience of expanding in that love of myself. And of course, what we know is that when we truly love ourselves, that is when we can show up and we can be that love for each other and ultimately for our world. So it's a grand journey to be on, that's for sure. So I want to start today with my favorite definition. If you were here in the first service, you can't say it though. And you know it, who's my favorite definition of love? Thank you. First service didn't get it. And I use this all the time. Charles Fillmore. It's my favorite definition of love ever. He says, love is the pure essence of being that binds together the whole human family. It is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it. It is the great harmonizing principle known to man. Now, divine love is impersonal. It loves for the sake of loving, and it's not concerned with who or what it loves, nor with a return of love. Like the sun, its joy is in the shining forth of its nature. Love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uppermost in itself and in all things. The reason I love this definition is because it calls us higher. Imagine loving for the sake of loving, not concerned with who or what you love, or with the return of love. That's kind of tough in our humanness, isn't it? We kind of like to be loved back, don't we? We kind of like to give and receive. But what he's saying here is this divine love. It's not concerned with that. It's just all it can do is the shining forth of its nature. But then the next part is big too, is that it's an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everyone. That's easy, isn't it? But it's so beautiful. And this is the opportunity that we have in talking about love, is ultimately getting to this place, or at least getting there sometimes, right? Getting there sometimes and getting there more and getting there more and getting there more. The disciple John is the disciple that represents love, and of course, love is found in our heart space. It is said that as the heart circulates life-giving blood throughout the body, so a right concept of love circulates life-giving sustenance through our thinking and feeling nature, as well as through our body and affairs. And we all know that when we have those moments when we are so open and we are just filled with this love, and this love is it's just exuding out from us, that it's really true, that we can feel that flow, right? And it feels good, right? Yeah, it feels good. Well, here's the thing. It's not necessary for us to like all that we see in the world, and it is not necessary for us to agree with the wrong things that people do. We always talk about setting healthy boundaries. But what is ultimately necessary, and I'm going to tell you this is not easy, but it's a goal, it's a lofty goal, is to see the Christ of God in every living being. To be, Stella, you cracked me up just now. She goes, I think we are all feeling that too. I know, it's just like, she went to write it down. See the Christ of God, what? But it's true, that's not easy, is it? No, it's not easy. But there's other things that we can do as well that we'll talk about today. So, as Charles says, love is that glue that binds us together. And where I was able to really go with this was from 1 John 4:8. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. And so if we believe that God is love, then that is what is the creator and the creation itself. And so we are that. That's our spiritual DNA. We are that essence of love. We are that divine love. And it's the same in each and every one of us. And that is why we can ultimately get to that place where we can hopefully look beyond the facade and connect with that divine essence of love in other human beings and other sentient beings. So from Jim Rosemergy, he's a older time Unity minister, but I love this. He wrote this little thing called If Love Led the Way. Imagine the world if love led the way. A world without war, families knowing nothing of famine. Life has been simplified. So many families can spend time together. The circle that is the family is joined because parents are no longer driven by making ends meet. Prejudice is a past memory kept alive only so that it will not come again. The many races and cultures are blended together like wildflowers on a hill. Religions, if there are many, pray and worship with one another. Humankind has experienced a spiritual awakening that began when we opened our hearts to one another. What would happen if love charted the way for the next 1,000 years? And doesn't all this sound like how it should be? It's interesting to me that we even have to have a vision of this, because it just seems, wow, we've gotten so far removed from really what life is about and what life can be about. Well, Jim Rosemergy goes on to share a true story of a Dr. Bowlby, a British physician in 1953, and he noticed in orphanages that the infants and the toddlers, they weren't developing like they should be. And what he recognized was that they were so understaffed that they were getting their basic needs met, but then they were left alone for long periods of time. And so they remedied that by hiring more staff, and what happened, obviously, was that these infants and these toddlers began to thrive and they began to grow strong. And the conclusion that came out of that was the affirmation that children, that it was a need for human contact, for tenderness, and for love. And we all feel that, right? We all understand that. But Jim Rosemergy said he felt that there was something more to this. So he first, expresses that, all religions have in common this idea of love. In Christianity, John 15:17, love one another. The Jews followed love's way in Deuteronomy, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. Hindus give allegiance to love in the Tulsi Das Hindu spirituality. Show love to all creatures, and thou wilt be happy, for when thou dost lovest all things, thou lovest the Lord, for he is all in all. And then Buddhist, the Sutta Nipata. As a mother, even at the risk of her own life, protects her son, her only son, so let him cultivate love without measure toward all beings. So here's where Rosemergy goes with this. We all feel a need to be loved. And we have all kinds of songs about that, don't we? Songs about heartbreak, he doesn't love me anymore, she ran off with somebody else, and I need you to love me. So the idea here is that we're always seeking it outside of ourselves. We think that love comes from out there. But what he says is that our need is not to be loved, that our need is to love, is to allow that love that we already have within us to express through us. And look at the first and the second great commandments. Jesus was masterful in these. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Not once in there does it say, go out and seek love, does it? It simply says, you love. You love. You bring that forth. You love God. You love yourself. You love your neighbor. You bring that forth from within you. He says that When we were young, we may have had like a teddy bear or some type of stuffed animal or something, and probably a lot of us had that, and we could hug that and hold that, and we felt this incredible love. But he said it wasn't because the love was activated from within the stuffed animal. It was because the love was activated from within us. And that's the main thing to get with this, is that that love is generated from within us. Where does it always come back to? Every time. You know, and we talk about this over and over. This is our greatest power right here within us. This is our greatest healer. This is our greatest opportunity to live the life that we desire to live, is to come back here, spend time in here, cultivate this experience with the God of our understanding in our own beingness, and allow these powers that we're talking about to be activated from within us. And I'm talking on a deeply spiritual level here. Because here's the thing, this is both good news and bad news. The perceived bad news is that we have to take responsibility. What it means is that we can no longer be victims to the conditional love of the world. And it means that we cannot hold someone else accountable for any disconnect from love that we are feeling. Whew. Dang, huh? But I'm pretty sure it's about that person or that something out there. That's why I'm feeling the way that I am. That's why I'm not feeling the love. No. I mean, they've triggered something, absolutely. But it's all about what's actually inside here. The great news is that you and I, we have the opportunity to go way deeper. And I'm inviting us today to be open to going deeper, to be open to being in a way that maybe we've never been before, to be open to being with the God of our understanding, to be open to being with ourselves, to being with others, and to being with all sentient beings in all of life, to really get that love is the divine harmonizer, that it is that which everything is made out of. And that's how we can have the connection. That's how we can have that deep oneness, by remembering that that is the truth of our being, and that's the truth of the entire beingness of everything. And can we spend time in that? Can we go out in nature on a nice day and just allow ourselves to feel the oneness with all that nature is? But even more so, can we be one with each other, even when we don't agree? Wow. Even when we look so differently. And you and I, we are being presented some opportunities to do just that, aren't we? Absolutely. To really move into a deeper way of being connected with each other. But you know what? It's going to take us getting out of our comfort zones. It's going to take us being vulnerable, willing to risk. It's going to take that. But the time is calling for that, for us to step into that. Wouldn't you rather spend the vast majority of your day in peacefulness, in connectedness, in love and oneness than in angst and anxiety and fear and disconnect? Yes. A or B? Hands for A? Hands for B? No hands, good. Oh wait, did I have a hand back there? Okay, so, what I'm talking about today is our opportunity to see beyond. You know, we're living in historic times, and I get it, you guys, that we always live in historic times. But we all know that what we are living in today is unprecedented, at least in modern history. There's a senator that said he has been in politics for over 47 years, and in his entire lifetime, he has never seen such divisiveness in our country as he is seeing today. And we all feel it, don't we? It's bombarded. We're bombarded with it all the time. And here's the thing about this. It's baffling to us, no matter what it is that you believe. It's baffling to us that someone else can see the same thing and see it in a 180-degree view opposite of what you see it. Is that baffling to anybody? Yeah. And here's the thing too, we don't get it because, again, no matter what we believe, based on the input and the information that we have, we sincerely believe we're seeing it the right way. Yes? Absolutely. But that's the key for me. Based upon the information and the input that we have. The question is, what if I don't have all the information? Guess what? We never have all the information. We think we have the information, don't we? But we never have all the information. And have I dug my heels in so deeply that I've become dogmatic in the way that I view things and how I see them that I am not willing to even have a conversation with somebody who is unlike me? And to see, why are you, tell me more about how you're seeing it. Help me to understand. You know, when we're here, are we open? Does this look like an open stance to you? Not at all. And that's why we have to open our hearts. And here's the thing, I know it's true for you and I know it's true for me, that we have all had experiences in our past where when we have been given more information, it has either totally changed our minds or it has certainly enlightened us, and we've been grateful for the information. Yes? Yeah. And so we have to be willing to listen. And again, to listen with the willingness to be changed by what we hear. And not just to hear what somebody's saying while we're in our mind thinking already about how we're going to respond, but that we're stopping the chatter and we're saying, I want to understand. Help me to understand. Because we are never going to fix this divide if we stand in our places and we don't start talking to each other. Love is what brings us to the table, my friends. Love is what brings us there. And love is what will help us to communicate with each other. And I know that this is a big thing. I shared on Facebook an ad a Danish ad, and it was just so cool because what they did was they took like groups of people and they brought them into a room. So there was a group of and I can't remember exactly, so I'm using my own stuff here, but like a group of single people and a group of bodybuilders and a group, so all these different groups were around the room. And then they said, you know, anybody who was a single parent, step out to this other place. And so people from all these groups walked out there. Then they went back to their groups. And then anybody who has ever been abused, and people who, you know, they were vulnerable, and they walked out. What was so beautiful that by the end of this, you saw all these people together and they were connected. They were connected. Where in the beginning of it, they were all in their little groups and they were looking at each other and nobody knew anything. But once people saw that they had something in common, they were connected. And the thing is we have so much in common with each other. There's so much that we have in common. And if we can just even do that, you know, find the things that we have in common with each other, then we've helped to bridge that gap. But here's the thing I want to say about love too. Love isn't passive. You know, we get this kind of thought in our spirituality that love is just about sitting around in a lotus position, spreading love to, and it's important to do that. But love is action. You know, when I look at life and I see this, you know, for me, I see this great tapestry of life that is constantly being created. And the moment that anything happens, that love is immediately in there, and it is creating a greater good for everyone involved. It's raising us to a higher place. And so what I see for us is that we have the opportunity as the very essence of love to do whatever is ours to do. Hear that, please. To do whatever is ours to do, whatever is yours to do, not whatever is mine to do or somebody else, but whatever is yours to do whatever is ours to do, to help weave whatever is happening in the world around us today into the greater tapestry of life for the greater good of everyone. I believe that's our call. How do we do this? So let's look for a moment at how do we show up with love in this time, in these days. In this culture. I'm going to tell you, I have struggled in my humanness. I have been angry, I've been frustrated, I've been baffled, I've been saddened, my heart has broken. I know like a week ago Saturday, I was in such an incredibly low physically emotional place. And so for me, I've just had to really go in and first of all, to give it over. You know, to this place where I'm just like, I am struggling here, and I want to see this right, and help me in my unbelief that things are going to be okay, because sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but also help me to know what is mine to do, what is mine to be, how am I to presence love? And not only that, but what are my values? Go really within and discern what feels right and good and true to me. And so here's the next step, is that if something is occurring around me that goes against my values, then I feel very strongly I need to take a stand. Otherwise, it's a wannabe value. If I truly value safety for everyone, and I see somebody being abused, and I walk away from that, it's a wannabe value. I love the thing that's see something, say something, the saying that's going around now. It's important for us to be active in that. So we take it to God first, and we allow it to be discerned in us. What is mine to be in this? Now, it's going to be different for every one of us. This is what I really want us to get today. For some people, it's going to be staying in the happy place, or as Abraham says, staying in the vortex. For some people, it's going to be praying without ceasing. For some people, it's going to be spending time and holding the vision of a world that works for all. For some people, it's going to be going out and protesting. For some people, it's going to be creating support groups. For some people, it's going to be campaigning. It's going to be different for every one of us. And I want to tell you something, it's all needed. And I want to tell you something else, it's not up to you to do it all. Yay! Yes. And honestly, that last Saturday, I finally got that why I was feeling that was because I was feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders, and like, what do I do? And finally getting that I only have to do what is mine to do, but I have to do what is mine to do. That's what we're called to. So I want to share something with you today, and I'm going to tell you that it's been a long time since I've been a little bit nervous about something I'm going to share, because I do feel vulnerable in this, and but I know that I need to talk about this. Every so often I've been asked, why do I share the things that I do on Facebook as the spiritual leader of the church? Why do I share political things? So first I want to tell you this. I don't believe that equal rights, that people's basic human needs being met, that taking care of our planet should be political issues. Yeah. It saddens me that those are considered to be political issues. But guess what? They are in our society. So here's what I want to tell you. I pray and I meditate and I contemplate and I ask, it's what is mine? What is mine? How is mine to show up? And my guidance is that when something shows up that is in direct opposition to my values, and I'm going to say here, as the spiritual leader, not only my values, but the values of Unity Worldwide Ministry, the movement that we are all a part of, then I feel compelled to shine a light on that. I feel compelled to shine a light on it so that, because here's the thing, just because we're not looking at it doesn't mean it's not there. We can't just always turn our head the other way and just say it's going to go away. That's not how big change happens in our world, is it? And so if you find a lump in your breast, go get it taken care of. We are not about burying our head in the sand here. That's not practical Christianity. So here's where it takes me, though. When I see something that's in direct opposition to my values and the values of Unity as a whole, then it takes me to the next thing for me, which is how can I be proactive in helping to change that? And that's my next step. And that's going to show up for me differently than it's going to show up for everybody else. For me, I'm going to use my voice. And I'm going to tell you, I have worked hard my entire life to find my voice. I have worked hard because I was the one, and I'll tell you, starting here 25 years ago, you wouldn't have found me ever even having a conversation about anything political because I was scared to death. I have worked hard to find my voice, and I will use my voice as I feel compelled inside of me to use my voice. And I want you to use whatever is compelled inside of you to bring this to a different place. And okay, well, let me go here. I want to tell you about unity. In unity, we have numerous statements for what we stand for. Unity Worldwide Ministries, if you want to check this out. Unity stands for equality. Equality for everybody, no matter who you are or what your lifestyle is. Unity stands on the platform that all human beings matter. Unity believes that all human beings have a right to have their basic needs met. That means that they have shelter, that they are not hungry, and that they get the medical care that they need. In unity, we believe that we should take care of this planet. We have a statement on climate change. And in unity, we believe that love is that we stand together and we take action for the greater good in peaceful ways. And I want to share this with you by one more time sharing with you, because I think this encompasses everything, Unity's statement on social action. Webster defines the word unity as the state of forming a complete and pleasing whole. At this time in the evolution of the planet and in the lives of human beings upon it, the task of forming a complete and pleasing whole is the imperative for positive evolution and harmonious existence for all. This perspective has seemingly been lost. Our wholeness, our oneness, our sameness as a human race. We must now remember more than ever that we have much more in common than that which divides us. The unity movement stands for and will work tirelessly for harmony, so all people may know the freedom of peaceful expression, so they may know their inner worth and essential contribution to the whole of life. Where there are divisions of opinions, beliefs, and perspective, unity embraces curiosity, exploration, and expanded awareness of the gifts of diversity. Where there is fear of the other, unity stands for inclusivity and peaceful acceptance of another's right to create the life of his or her choosing. Where there is oppression and hatred, we stand for justice and understanding, and for extending compassion, kindness, and forgiveness to restore balance. Where there is discrimination, we stand for inclusivity and equality. We pledge to be an advocate for the well-being, respect, and civil freedom of every human being. Any proposal or action that seeks to discriminate against individuals or classes of individuals based on prejudice, stereotypic profiles of national origin, class, creed, race, ethnicity, physical ability, sexual orientation, or gender identity is in opposition to the core beliefs and values established by our founders. We choose unity. In harmony with the divine spirit, we stand so we may live in a spiritually awakened world that is continually evolving. This is our prayer, and this is our decree. Through our actions, we let it be. This is love in action. Yes. This is who we are. And so for me, as a spiritual leader, when I'm posting things, I'm standing on this. And I feel good about what I'm doing. And like I said, believe me, I spend a lot of time in prayer and meditation and contemplation and just the other things as well. But so can we just get away from judging each other in how we're showing up? Can we just know that each of us is doing what we're being called to do? Because, my friends, if we're judging each other and making each other wrong because of the way we're standing up, we're divided within our own house. And a house divided cannot stand. And we need to be united in this movement, this beautiful movement that's called unity. What an honor and what a privilege. And we should feel proud of what we're standing on, of what we're a part of, because this movement has the ability to be able to create amazing change in the world. But it takes us to do it. It takes us to remember who we are. It takes us to take that time to go within and discern what is mine to do, how is mine to express love today, and then to have the courage to do it. But we have what we need. We are prepared for these times. I read this beautiful, and I'm going a little late, I'm sorry, but I read this beautiful thing where somebody had posted, we are made for these times. Don't give up hope. And I got to tell you, that Saturday, that's how I felt. And then it was like, no, now more than ever, we're needed. Now more than ever, we have to stand for what is right and good and true. We have to stand for it. We have to be a voice for it. We have to be in action for that. Now more than ever, we cannot let ourselves be defeated. I put on Facebook that if you need to take a rest, take a short rest. But get back out there and do what is yours to do. Because together we are going to affect great change in our own lives, in our family, in our church, in our community, and ultimately in the world. And we're going to do it together. So in closing, I just want to say namaste. And that is that the love, the divine love in me, sees and respects and honors and celebrates the divine love that each and every one of you are. And I'm so grateful that I get to be here 25 years later doing what I get to do, and that we get to do this together. And I love you. Namaste. Namaste.